One of the key components is we try to run our animals in the biggest possible management groups as possible under commercial conditions, so that they all have exactly the same management, and then we can measure the difference in the genetics. It's important they run under commercial conditions because that's the way our clients are going to be running them. So we try to replicate the way that they do things. My name's Andrew Bouffler. I farm in partnership with my wife, Mandi. We're in southern New South Wales, near a little town called Lockhart, the veranda town. The Nuffield Scholarship, if there was a fork in the road in my farming career, is probably the really significant factor that changed a lot of things. And I guess broadly speaking, the two things that it really achieved was, one, I stepped out of the day-to-day management of the farm and I really got that helicopter view of the world. And one of the major components of that, I really got a really firm belief that our customers were getting a lot more fussy in what they did. They were getting a lot more environmentally aware of what was going on around them in their choices with consuming. And this social licence to farm, if I wanted to farm and hopefully my children farm and grandchildren into the future, then we really needed this social licence to farm, and we had to listen to our customers about what they wanted as opposed to telling them what they needed. Our real breeding objective, probably changed post-Nuffield, was a really clear focus on building an animal that was fit for purpose, still moving production trades forward, but fit for purpose, that was a non-mulesed, highly fertile animal that could put quality product into both our wool markets and our meat markets. One of the really big free kicks out of our different approach, I guess, both genetic and management-wise, the big one was growth, which is why we put so much emphasis on early growth. And that came from a wish from our clients. Now most of the weather lambs, not that we're mainly a seedstock producer, but some culls and off-types, they're gone by 8 or 9 months at the latest. Our clients are finding the same. They're getting rid of them 2 or 3 months earlier at the same or heavier weights. But the free kick of that is you also have females, and so they've come along for the ride, and by introducing the fat and the muscle, at the same age, they're now hitting maturity. We get, as a seed stock producer, we've reduced the generation interval down a lot. You talk about whole farm productivity gains. If you get one more lambing experience out of a 5-year-old ewe, that's 20% right there. One big jump. The free kicks are everywhere. The goal was, I've listened to the customers, they're not going to accept mulesing going forward, let's be a mules-free animal. To do that, we wanted to take away the breech wrinkle because that's where the problem generally lies. But the free kicks associated with that have just been so ongoing. There's so much easier care. The whole fly stroke, not just a breech strike, but it's not zero, but it's dropped tenfold. I want a really good dual-purpose sheep, so we get paid for meat. So the more muscle we can get, the better it is. The free kick with that, and I guess it comes back in turning off those wethers, they can't just be at a certain age and weight, they have to be finished. If you put more muscle in your sheep, you'll get all that growth, they'll hit maturity and they'll stop growing. My first half a dozen years, it could have just been luck, but farming was pretty straightforward, and Dad sort of told me this is the way it works. Long, hot, dry summers, we just wait for the autumn break, we get rain in the autumn and it arrives, and then you'll get a long, wet, cold winter. You'll get oodles of food and thing in the spring, so lamb in the spring, because that's when you've got the most food. And then you'll go in with all this dry food into a dry summer. I challenged that and then threw it out, and threw it absolutely on the head, because our weather pattern's a lot more summer rain and things like that, so we changed drastically. The biggest single thing we changed was thinking, in my mindset, was we now have to have a production system in place where when it rains, we turn it into dry matter, and I turn that into money. It will take the form of grass or grain, generally here, and I then either sell the grain, put the grain through the sheep if there's a value add there, or utilise that grass to grow wool and meat and lambs to do it. So our production system really fundamentally changed to one of trying to be a seasonal and fit things into the seasonal, to being really nimble. When it rains, how do I turn that rain into money to make me viable and things like that? And how do we best utilise that rain? So that's why ground cover, protecting ground cover and things became so important, because it's not just the amount of rainfall that you get, it's the utilisation of that rainfall that you get. So if we can get a summer storm of 40 mils in summer and we haven't got ground cover on it, that's gone in a week. The evaporation and 40 degrees takes it away. But if you've got the ground cover and the mulch and things there, then you fully utilise the bulk of that thing. There's only really two alternatives. If you have the philosophy that ground cover's the king to utilise the rainfall that falls and to get the maximum use out of it, well, you've got to get them off the paddock. You cannot set stock once your food levels get to a certain level. So it's either destock which isn't an option for us because we've got 50 years of seed stock and a lot of breeding and pedigrees and things there. We had to find another alternative, which is where containment came to plan, and it's probably, of all the management things, the two things that have really changed our whole model the most is fitting into this rainfall when it works and making money out of that, and then having that ability to put sheep into containment. That was the reason for the containment area, but the flow on benefits and once it's there, the different uses for it has been nothing short of extraordinary. We only went down the market assurance program that's called RWS probably 18 months ago. RWS assessment and protocols are really based around a lot more than that. It's the full pain relief and animal welfare and well-being issues. It's your whole farm approach. It's about your ground cover. It's about your vegetation. It's about your tree lines and just how you manage your land for sustainability. And the third one that I really enjoyed is about your social interaction and your social part in your industry. So it's that component of labour, having good facilities for your shearers. You know, flushing toilets and warm running water and OH&S and iron OH&S and complying to OH&S thing. It's the most important thing surely has to be that everyone gets home to their family safely at the end of every day. And there's nothing surer that it is what I thought, because we've had up to 300 premium in the marketplace when we've sold our RWS mules-free with all the other benefits. It's been up to 300 cents. So I guess it's a nice tie into what I saw 20 or 30 years ago when we were talking about consumer sentiments in New York. They are aware and they do want to pay, and they will pay a premium